So I want to start by saying thank you. And I want to start by saying thank you for being here and being part of this conversation. How many of you believe cybersecurity is important? You just sat through 3 hours of it. I hope you think it's important, right? How many of you realize that your organization is completely dependent on cybersecurity? There's a few people, right? Some people are going to look at me and go, completely dependent? Is it really? Well, the reality is in today's world, no matter what industry you're part of, no matter what organization you're part of, no matter what your career is, you are touching technology, right? Anybody, name me a job today that doesn't use computer technology. Anybody? Amish cabinet maker. Yeah, that was planted last night, so he knew that answer, right? If it says Amish something, then you've got a job there, right? But other than that, everything we do, regardless of where you work, somewhere is touching technology. And I want to give you a little bit of a story here, real fast. So these two little girls at the time were second graders. They're based in Liberty Elementary in northern Bismarck. And these two little girls were just amazing kids in a group of about 25. But I was invited to their classroom, right? And as I'm walking to the school, I'm going, cool, I get to go see a bunch of second graders. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy education. I love playing with the kids. And so I come in the front, and the little girl on the left there, the one with the sign, she comes running down the hall. Sorry, they can't see the sign. There you go. You can see the sign. She comes running down the hallway, and she goes, stop! Don't move! I'm like, Jesus, that's a scary little kid. All right. On the ground right next to her down the hallway is that little robot. The gal on the right is holding is that little blue robot. It drives down the hallway, and it stops. And the head of the thing looks up at me, and it says, please take your message. And that little Lego basket that's on the top there, you see that little Lego basket? I reach down, and I pull out this piece of paper, and I unfold it, and it's welcome to the classroom. Right? And I go in there, and I go into this classroom, and there's 25 kids in there, and they've got Ozobots, they've got Dashbots, they've got codeforkids.org. These kids are learning 21st century skills. How many of us could program when we were second graders? Pretty much nobody. Even me, right? I wasn't really programming as a second grader. I'm about as nerdy as it comes, right? But these kids are learning to do this, and they're being taught this in every classroom in the state of North Dakota now. They are becoming the 21st century students and the 21st century workforce. And they are going to be developing things we haven't even thought of yet. Now, from here, that little robot, so not this girl's robot, but another robot just like it sitting in another school. We get a call from another school, from another community, and we get a call and they say, hey, our network's down, what's going on? And we're like, everything looks good on our end. Everything looks perfectly fine. And they're like, well, it's down. Well, we do about 3 hours worth of research, and all of a sudden we find out we have to send our security team up. And our security team goes up, and they seize 6 devices. Those devices come back, and then they go to Homeland Security, and then they go to the FBI, and then they go to the NSA. And the reason that they were doing that, and the reason their network was down was this guy. Anybody recognize him? What? North Korea. North Korea was sitting on a North Dakota school district's system using an attack vector. Why? Why would North Korea want to sit in a K-12 school district? Well, they were sitting in a K-12 school district because they were trying to get to a National Guard system. They were trying to use the parents there, and they were trying to use a system that was interconnected to get to the National Guard, because in the National Guard in the state of North Dakota are the ground forces for the Grand Forks and Minot nuclear missile bases. So this little robot is an attack vector for North Korea to go after nuclear missile secrets. This is our real world today. This is the real cybersecurity world that we have to defend against every single day. Now, you may be sitting there going, I've got nothing to do with nuclear bombs. Well, that's hopefully true, but who do you deal with? Who does your organization connect to, right? Lawyers' offices, who are your clients, right? Hospitals, who are your patients? Bankers, who are your customers? Et cetera, et cetera. Sometimes they're not really interested in you. Sometimes they're interested in using you to get somewhere else. And this is one of the most common attacks that we see from a nation-state actor standpoint today. We see this across the entire country, and we see this in small businesses, middle businesses, large businesses, governments, military, everywhere. And in fact, small businesses are usually the ones that are the easiest to target. Because if I'm going after Shawn Riley, because Shawn Riley has access to lots and lots of things and has a secret clearance and blah and blah and blah, well, who's Shawn's dentist, right? Where does Shawn get childcare from, right? Those companies, those small to mid-sized companies, are being used as leverage points to attack individuals as well. This is the reality that we have. Now, the good part is there is hope. So we've been talking here about lots of things that you can do locally, organizationally, again, without funding. Sometimes you do need funding, but there's all kinds of things you can do. And some of what we can do is simply think differently. So within the state of North Dakota, we've been thinking differently about how do we apply our capabilities of technology? How do we apply our security across all facets of government? So one of those aspects is we allowed, from a legislative standpoint, a single cybersecurity authority for the entire state. We're the one and only state that does this. We are able to help and manage cybersecurity for any governmental entity in the state, the judicial branch, legislative branch, executive branch, higher ed, K-12, cities, and counties, what I lovingly call the 7 branches of government. When we brought this forth and told our story to the legislature, the Senate voted positively for this 47-0 and the House 88-0. That doesn't happen often, right? You don't typically get unanimous bills. But the reality is that we are now enabling a cybersecurity defense organization for every governmental entity across the entire state. And this is the part as taxpayers every one of us should like, we're doing this for $440 million per year less than it would have taken to do this individually. $440 million less. Anybody want to keep that in your pocket? Beyond that, within the state of North Dakota, we've also thought about education differently. This is also that same second grade classroom. I was so much younger then. So that same second grade classroom was an inspiration, along with a lot of others, to say, our kids must have these skills, right? I just asked the question, name me a job today that doesn't use computer technology, right? And Amish cabinet maker's the only one. Well, let me ask you another question. When was the first time the world was going to end because computers are going to fail? Y2K, right? Yeah, there's a couple before that, actually, where we were about to nuke the Russians because our satellites were bouncing off the moon, but that was in the 60s. But the one that everybody knows about is Y2K. On January the 1st of the year 2000, we thought the world was going to end because computers were so critical to our world that if they screwed up, everything was going to die, right? You ever see the Family Guy episode? Everything crashes, they end up living on Twinkies. It's very funny. Go watch the episode, right? Hilarious. But that was what everybody thought could happen. All right, so that same day, January 1, the year 2000, there's a kid born. And that kid will go through elementary school, they will go through middle school, they will go through high school, they will go through college, and today could be graduated with their bachelor's degree, and in this country have an 87% chance that they never had a single computer science class. Seriously? 30 years ago, we knew that our technology was so critical to society that we had to be able to fix it, to survive, and here it is where we don't even educate most of our kids. So in the state of North Dakota, we said, no, we're not going to do this anymore. So in the state of North Dakota, these kids right here are part of the first state in the union that has computer science and cyber science, kindergarten through PhD. Every school, every student, cyber educated across the board. Every single school. We're the first and only state in the country that has done this, and we enacted this now, Chancellor, 4 years ago. 4 years ago, this was enacted. So every single student will have this education going forth because it's essential to who they are. And then beyond that, we've also done something that has also never been done before. Last year, or this year I should say, February of this year, we crowned the very first state champion in cybersecurity at a high school level. Right? Very first in the state of North Dakota, and as far as I can tell, first anywhere in the whole planet that has a state championship for cybersecurity. Anybody have your kids there? Anybody? Did anybody have one of your kids there? Next time I come and talk this, I want everybody's hands up, right? I want kids, grandkids, everybody, right? This is something that is awesome. It gives them the tournament capability. They get to play sports with each other, and they get to come together to be able to have an amazing skill to not only learn about their society and defend themselves, but to build knowledge for the future. On top of that, we're the only state in the union that's able to defend from a multi-governmental defense capability, which means we can help the tribes, we can help other states. All of these other states are now banding together. We have what is called the JCSOC, and that JCSOC allows now almost 65 million Americans some form of protection through North Dakota's concepts, through the North Dakota defense environment. These are some of the steps that we're taking to make huge, huge inroads overall. When I think about those kids, these kids from that classroom, she will develop things that we haven't even thought of yet. She'll be using technology that doesn't exist today. We should give her the skills to be able to operate in that future. And the state of North Dakota is doing that. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this conversation. It is an immensely important conversation. And I hope you all had some fun. I hope you all walked away with some new knowledge. Please let this be the beginning of your next conversation. So from here, I will hand this over to Sharon. Thank you.